Welcome to Game Crunch, your weekly video game podcast. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today we have Brandon.
Hello.
We're here to talk about games and things.
Games and things.
What's on the agenda today? Starfield.
And CS2 was released to everyone that had a ranking. And they released a new ranking mode.
Oh.
And I played with some friends now, and I played the new CS. And boy, do I have some opinions.
I'm sure you do. What else we got this week? The Mario Wonder Direct happened.
I didn't even watch it.
We'll talk about it. I don't
Okay.
think you missed anything that would warrant you to go back and
I
see
probably
it.
still will to see if there's any like new content that was shown that would make me more interested in the game, because right now I'm super not interested in it, to be completely honest. Like, it's something I would like to play, but I'm not chomping at the bits for it. You know what I mean?
We'll get there. We'll talk about it.
Okay, yeah.
Why don't we talk about Starfield, since that's the hot new thing?
I would love to, but I need that to be second because I have a lot to say about it. I got the good mic, so I could say what I have to say about it.
Okay, let's do CS:GO.
CS2, Counter-Strike 2.
I don't know where the Go came from.
Because it's CS:GO is the most recent game, which stands for Global Offensive. But now they've gone back to just Counter-Strike, and they named this Counter-Strike 2. Really weird naming scheme, pretty dumb. They've changed a lot of things, and I don't know how I feel about it currently.
Okay.
All right, first, I'm going to share a few things. First and foremost, so CS:GO is on a 64 tick system, which is a specific amount of like intervals in between doing an attack or, you know, like firing a gun, picking up something, and it registering with the server. This is very common for mini games such as like Fortnite and da-da-da-da. And CS2 is on a sub-tick system where pretty much it's close to 1-to-1 with what you would do and it responding to that. The issue here, however, is that it still doesn't feel anywhere near as smooth as I thought that CS:GO did. And so I'm going to talk about a few things with CS2. One, they decided to take the Valorant approach and lower the round amount, essentially. So whereas there used to be 30 rounds in a game of CS:GO, there are now, it's the first to 13 instead of the first to 16. And that does make a pretty major difference. And it kind of has your rounds feeling shorter, and you don't get as much money as you do when you lose a round or when you win a round, that sort of thing. And because of that, I think the game feels a little bit more all over the place. I don't think that CS2 is bad, but as a replacement for CS:GO, because once CS2 releases officially, right now they're in the testing phase where everyone gets access to it that has a rank in CS:GO. And right now in the testing phase, I think this feels way worse than CS:GO in pretty much every conceivable way. It looks far better, looks absolutely incredible in some respects, but in others we got lots of problems. I think one of the major issues with this game is the engine they are using for it, Source 2, has only really ever been used in things such as Half-Life Alyx, which, as you may know, is a VR game. And taking an engine designed for VR and making it for a game that is not VR kind of produces a few hiccups. They have this thing that I like to call VR legs, and if you've never played VR, you're not really going to understand the term. But VR legs are kind of when you look down and you see your character's legs, but they look kind of unnatural. Like, they just don't really make sense with the way they're bending as opposed to what you're doing. And you don't really feel like those legs are translating well to you as the person in VR. Well, they brought over those VR legs to CS2. Probably because it's the same engine as Half-Life Alyx. And that's a problem because, you know, like looking down and seeing your legs or trying to pick something up and like seeing your legs like bend at a weird angle sort of just doesn't really feel right to me, especially when trying to make jumps and this sort of thing. See, there used to not be anything like that in CS:GO. You just look down and you see the ground below you, but now you look down and you see your legs and it's kind of disorienting, especially since those legs are in the style of VR legs. And it's not really good. they've like reduced the distance that you can grab objects from, and I've been playing CS:GO since 2011 because I had
it's been
CS
a long time.
before the game released because I was one of the beta testers for CS:GO. I have spent 6,000 hours in CS:GO. I've spent 2,100 hours in CS:GO in the last year alone. Mm-hmm. This is a game that means a lot to me and that I have a lot of experience with. Not on the super high, like I'm a professional level, but I have a lot of experience with the way the game feels. And CS2 does not feel right for some reason. Many things don't feel right when they're supposed to feel better. And that's a real problem. We have sound issues where it's kind of muffled, but you kind of see what they're doing, and they've kind of wrapped together a ray tracing like sound quality, like a 3D audio sound quality, but there's no way to like really adjust it. And because of that, it makes things feel kind of like not right when listening to sounds, and sound play in CS is a very, very important thing. You need to hear people's footsteps. You need to hear when grenades and things are being thrown out, so you have that information ahead of time if someone's trying to execute onto a site that you're holding, or vice versa if someone's running up on you trying to rush to you and kill you. All those little elements are super important to the game as a whole, and I just feel like CS2 fails in that respect in every way, shape, and form. Because of the fact that there's not any real options to adjust it right now, it makes it very difficult to play based purely off of sound cues, in my opinion. Obviously, all of this is my opinion. Other people may feel completely different. I think the animations for guns, although they look incredible, it is far better than anything we've seen before in a CS game. The issue I have is the animations are too fluid to the point where sometimes it's distracting and you can't really get that one-to-one feel as you had with CS:GO. And that's really distracting and weird because of the fact that this game is supposed to be a one-to-one conversion from CS:GO to CS2, just with better graphics and this, that, and the other. And it's not. It's not what they said it was. The gun feel feels better, but worse at the same time due to the like just overemphasis on the way that things animate, and because of the fact that I don't know if it's a distracting element or if there's something going on there with the way that the animations happen when you fire things, but it just doesn't feel quite right. And that's a big issue, because if you've been playing a game for like 11 years, 12 years, and then they're like, this is the game that's going to replace it, and your response is, I don't want to play the game that's going to replace it, that's not good for their bottom line. It really isn't. Many people wanted CS2 and were super excited for it, and now pretty much every game I've played of CS2, I've heard at least one or two people say, this sucks. And I kind of don't feel that strongly about it, where I'm like, this is fucking garbage, this sucks, or anything. But I do feel like there are a lot of missteps here that need to be addressed before they officially release it. They were supposed to officially release it at the end of September, and I feel like if they do this, they will tank their player base, because there are too many issues here with the game itself that are legitimate problems. The brightness is off the scales. They have HDR built into the game, even if you don't have an HDR monitor. It's like some kind of new technology, essentially. But it's also so incredibly bright that it makes seeing things, such as your firing reticule, kind of difficult. I normally use a light blue reticule when I'm playing CS:GO. That is my thing. That is what I do. Because it makes it sticks out better on the player models. You know, when you're like looking at someone, you're like, I definitely have my reticule over this person. It's a different color from every single item that they could be wearing. Bam, I'm going to take that shot now because I know it's there. But because the sun and the light of this game is so aggressive, it actually kind of blows out certain colors when you're playing, and makes it so I've had to completely adjust my color scheme for my reticule for this game, and it's taking some getting used to. I also had to adjust the size because the brightness of the game is so blown out that it makes it kind of difficult to shoot people, and it makes it kind of difficult to see where you are aiming at times based on the part of the map that you are standing in.
Okay.
Like I said, I feel very passionately about this. I love CSGO. CSGO is my go-to game that I will probably play until the end of time or until they remove it from existence. CS2 is not there, and it is not it. It is not it at all.
That's pretty disappointing, considering I remember when you were talking about playing it,
Mm-hmm.
a month or two ago.
Yes.
You seemed pretty up on it at that time.
I was. It was the little inconsistent. Wow, I'm literally saying this right now, and CS2 is updating with patch fixes right now at this very second. I see it updating on my computer right now while saying this. So let's see if those patch fixes fix my issues with the game.
Yeah, people will listen to this on Friday and be like, I don't know what this Brandon kid's talking about. Everything's fine. Yeah, but I mean, that's totally understandable. I mean, and I feel like what you're describing is tale as old as time. Like, how many times we talk about these with sequels, especially for these kind of games, like Overwatch 2. We just kind of went through the same kind of thing with that. And it's like,
this is not an Overwatch 2 case. This is definitely enhanced in every way, but it just doesn't feel right, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Well, maybe, even something like, say, Melee to Brawl.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, like, unquestionably, there's a lot of things that changed there.
Yeah.
For the better. Sakurai tried to improve it in every way possible. But, just some of the things that he tried to do to kind of adjust the gameplay that was already there, turned off a lot of that player base, and made, Melee still, to this day, in some ways, considered a more superior product.
Yeah, I do think there's some elements of this game that do shine, and I will share those as well. I just need to get the cons out of the way, first and foremost. I do think, like I have said, the graphics of this game are, like, next gen. They're incredible. They look fantastic. They've done a lot with this game, and it looks like night and day difference between CSGO and CS2, but it's still got that familiarity where it's like, I understand these maps because they're the maps I've already played. They've just enhanced them and made some changes in a way that's different, that feels really good and natural, while still changing it in a way that it's like easing players into this new map style. And I like that a lot because it seems like they put a lot of thought into that respect of the games. I also like the new smoke idea. The new smoke, you could shoot through smokes, and it like forms like bullet holes as you shoot through said smokes, which then gives you a very brief window to see if someone's on the other side of it. I think that's a really cool idea. You can also throw a grenade into said smokes, which blows up the smoke, and it makes it stay gone for about a second to maybe two, which gives you enough time to see, is someone hiding in that smoke? Is someone hiding behind that smoke? And I really, really like that aspect of it, and I think it will bring a lot to the competitive scene of that game in general. They've also done a few things to minimize solo players getting completely fucked over. So you can no longer queue with just 4 players. It has to be 1, 2, 3, or 5. There is no in between. So that is essentially how that works, because in the past you could queue with 4 players and then your 5th player would be a completely random person. And that kind of fucked over that completely random person if those other 4 players just wanted to troll or be pieces of shit, because they have majority vote and they will always overrule that one player. So it would ruin their experience in things like CSGO. I do think that's a great idea to be able to do something like this. I do think that's a really good step in the right direction to handle some of the toxicity and that has happened throughout the years in games such as this. I think it's a really smart idea that could be very beneficial to the community as a whole, and I like it. I like the idea of what they're going to do in the future with competitive play, where you rank up based on map. So if you like only queue Dust 2, you could be like the highest rank in Dust 2, but then you could be like unranked in like Nuke or Mirage or something. So like kind of like old Halo 2 days and Halo 3 days, where you ranked up based on the game type you were playing, but now it's based off the map that you choose to play. And I do think there is a very big element to that makes a lot of sense. When I played CSGO in the past, I've heard people be like, yeah, I really suck on this map. And they do absolute dog shit. And I see them later on another map, and they are incredible. So I think being able to break skills up between maps, like have a skill-based ranking system, but have it based on each individual map, is a really good idea. It still is something I'll have to see how it plays out. But right now, I think that's actually kind of smart, because there is a lot of times where some people do play only one map and they get really good at that map. And then they have like the highest rank in the game, but then they play really bad on every other map. And that really makes it weird in CSGO, where it doesn't make a lot of sense, because you get like all these high level players that either are too good or aren't good. And it really throws off the balance, because you get low-level players on the enemy team or on your team or whatever, and it kind of just throws everything out of whack, and it's a big mess. And I think this is going to go a long way to fixing that in some respect. I also like the new Prime matchmaking, where after you win 10 games, it gives you a skill rating, and the skill rating is by points. And every time you win another game, you get more points added to your skill ranking. And if you lose, you have some points deducted from your skill ranking. And then they put you in a bracket with people along the same amount of points as you. And at the end of a season, those points are tallied up, and like there's a scoreboard for it, and who's like the best of the best and that sort of thing. And I like that element. I think that's a really neat and fun idea to go with. I also like being able to pick and choose maps and ban maps that you don't want to play, and pick the side that you want to start on, or the enemy team being like, I don't want to pick the side, the other team can. And then if they do something like that, the other team gets to pick 3 maps to ban, and it kind of balances it out and lets you see before you play the game against the enemies what maps they're good at and what maps they have like a high win ratio on. I think it's a really, really neat idea, and it's a lot like a lot of psychology before the game even starts. And I really dig that and think it's a really smart idea. I know it exists currently in CSGO, but it's not as good as it is in CS2. CS2 has done an excellent job implementing it, as opposed to CSGO. And I think that it will actually be the go-to type of matchmaking that people will probably end up using in CS2. And I'm all for that. Time's going to tell on if this gets better. But I will say, between me having early access to this beta for about 2 months now, and now seeing the open early access to the beta that has released as of a few days ago, I do think there have been improvements since that time, and I do think they are working very hard and very diligently to improve this game and make it the best it possibly can be. So it's not like people are being like, here's a problem, and they're like, well, we don't give a fuck. No, they are literally instantly taking in this feedback and trying to make it the best it possibly can be, and I can respect that. Valve kind of always does that, so you know, it's like not anything really new for them, but it's good to see it, because all in an age of like the Call of Duties and Apex Legends and stuff like that, I don't think Apex Legends is anywhere near as bad as things like Call of Duty, but it's good to see a company actually being like, yeah, we're going to try to make this the best it possibly can be. I'm sure money has a very big factor in that, but it's also good from my point of view, having a game that's improving constantly even before it's released. It shows that they care at least a little bit beyond the money-making aspect of the game as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I mean, it's obviously what you want to see, and it sounds like at least they're moving to make those changes quickly instead of, some games where they wait months to kind of, see how things settle out. So, and it sounds like at least, kind of what you said, it's not like it's, necessarily a bad game, from the get-go. So at least it sounds like they have, a decent framework to start from. So it's just kind of managing what they have and, trying to meet people's expectations.
Yep, basically. Because they're going to have a lot to live up to, because this has been something that people have been hyping up for like 4 years, essentially.
Oh, yeah. And just considering the legacy of the series itself, I mean...
Not only that, it's been like the literal number one thing on Steam for like 2 years now. It's like crazy, the amount of players it has.
Yeah. So, no, I mean, I think I have. I don't know. I'm an optimist, I have faith that will make right.
No, I definitely have faith because I am seeing it in real time be improved on, and that's great. That is.
And you haven't seen what this patch does yet. Could make things worse.
That's true. That is so true.
But no, that's good. I mean, bad and good, I suppose. But yeah, no, I mean, I think I think it's reassuring that they're putting that time in to get things done. I think it's reassuring that they already have a patch out while you're talking about it.
Yeah, so, I love that. Mm-hmm. I'm really happy. I wonder... Oh, here are the release notes, actually. Fixed CT spawn area in the minimap, adjusted spawn locations to reduce likelihood of players spawning stuck together, various bug fixes and tweaks, gameplay re-enabled casual matchmaking, fixed a bug where dropped weapons were behaving like held weapons, adjusted interpolation parameters, fixed missing bullet tracers on hits, made it easier to pick up dropped weapons. That's what I just complained about! Fuck yeah! Made it easier to pick up dropped weapons, fixed the case where music wouldn't play at the end of deathmatch, various bug fixes and tweak to Premiere UI elements, adjusted freeze time post-processing effects. I needed that fixed too. Okay, that's cool. Fixed missing player models in the first seconds after team introductions. Windows community servers can now appear in Steam server browser. Okay. Those are really good fixes.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And that was just put out, literally 10 minutes ago while I was talking about this. And that's, again, another example of the communication, of them being receptive to feedback, of them doing everything they possibly can to make this the best it possibly can be. And, I literally just complained about not being able to pick up dropped weapons and how they felt like they were further away. And this already fixed right after the weekend that they launched it openly for people. That is incredible turnaround on fixing issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, there you go. One of my complaints is gone now, so there you go. Okay. But let's hope that more will end up happening in the future. More fixes, more adjustments, all that good jazz. But yeah, I do think right now is a really exciting time to be a fan of CS as a whole. And to another extent, competitive gaming, because Counter-Strike is one of the biggest competitive games, aside from your Dotas and your League of Legends. And to see them taking something this seriously when trying to launch a new version of it is very, very exciting and very interesting to watch happen in real time.
Yeah, and like I said, I think it's pretty impressive how fast they got that patch out. So if they keep up that pace, maybe by the time next week rolls around, you'll be like, never mind. Take back everything I said.
It's entirely possible, which is why I think I'm going to just do weekly updates on how I feel about CS2 until it releases officially. Yeah. I won't make it as big as this one, obviously, unless it's something major that they release. But I will try to update people weekly on how I feel about this.
Yeah. Okay. I think it's good.
Have your conversation, and then we're jumping into Starfield conversation because I also feel very passionately about that game, and we will talk about it.
Starfield? Yeah. So you're saying my conversation, the game I played?
Yes, please.
Yes. Oh, yeah. So I've been playing through Okami slowly, which is why I didn't talk about it last week, because I really don't have too much new stuff to add there. But I remembered this week as I was sitting down, I'm like, oh, when's that freaking Mewtwo thing end? And I was like, oh, I still got a couple days left. So let me take a look. I think you have, for those listening, I think you have about a little less than 2 weeks to go through and do this event if you want it. So yeah, so that Mew, get your own Mew event and the Mewtwo thing.
Is that the one in the Pokemon currently?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
The Mewtwo with the Mightiest Mark.
And work on it. Yep.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, let me do that, because I didn't even get the Mew yet. And so I was like, okay, I got that. And I'm like, how bad can this be? I looked up on Reddit, just kind of some strategies, and there's kind of two strategies to use. They're basically you got to have a good team. You need pretty much an even offense team and an even defense team. So I'll make a defensive Mew and kind of, work on it that way. So kind of follow the strategies that they laid out, kind of the abilities that they had, and then, went into a battle with Mewtwo, and it was intense. It was not surprisingly, and it sounds like I might have just been really lucky because it sounds like I had a good team on my try because I just did some randos, but I got it on the first try. So, and it was funny because it sounds like these people were basically
my dude.
yeah, Thanks. It sounds like these people are basically using the same kind of like strategy thing. So I mean, apparently people know what to do. But I ended up with myself and 2 other defensive Mews with just 1 other offensive Mew, and we kind of scraped by at the wire because we got down to the. He's not like a pushover. Like they made him really tough. Like as soon as you start the battle, his shield's up, and like it's like half of his life. So then you like knock him down, and then we were like just a smidgen. It's like we even got the warning like you better hurry up because Mewtwo's starting to gather energy, and then we just kind of like snuck by at the last minute, and I was like, oh, was it 10?
Is it like one of those things like a raid boss where if he gathers all his energy, he just one shots you?
Yeah, basically. Well, he just blasts everyone out of the cavern.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
just kind of you're sent out and you get to try it again. So, but yeah, so that's how it is. And some of the other ones that I've done, it can be very because people bring bullshit into them that just doesn't work. They'll be like things that don't even make sense. At least in this one, everyone thought to bring Mew, so that was helpful from the get go. You didn't have someone trying to sneak in like I don't know Corridon or Miradon because they like to bring them in everything. So Mew is pretty good for what he does, and your Mew that you get just kind of as a random Terra type. Mine had a really shitty one, so I never used it. I had fighting, and I'm like, oh, Mew will just wipe the floor with me, so I'm not even gonna try to use that. But I didn't feel like talking around to like change it around because you can get like the crystals and change your Terra type. Like I don't have time for that. That's a lot. And he starts out at level 5, but I had so many XP candies from the raids I'd done before. I'm just like, here you go. Here's a shit ton of XP candies. Welcome to level 100 in like 3 seconds. So, and I'm all leveled up. Just threw him into a battle, changed his abilities around to kind of match it. And yeah, it went pretty well. The game still, I have to say, kind of in retrospect, and maybe I'll change my mind in 2 weeks because I did pre-order the expansion pack while I was in there. But I kind of don't love the Pokemon controls. Every time I go into the game, it's always just counterintuitive to what I would expect. Like the map is on like the Y button, and I always kind of press start to pull it up, and it's not like that. It just kind of like start is the turn. It pulls out your rideable Pokemon, and minus is your Pokedex, and it's just kind of like not my first thoughts for these buttons, but no, it's still. I mean, it still works well. I mean, the game's still kind of laggy. Like, those patches really have not done a lot to mix things up, but
yeah,
I mean it's functional.
It's better.
Yeah, I mean it's probably better than it was at launch for sure, but not at the quality I would expect for one of the largest franchises in existence. So yeah, but I mean it was a fun little raid. I mean you still have, like I said, 2 weeks to kind of do the Mew thing, so if you want to try it out, try it, or at least go hop in and get your Mew if we don't want to get Mew too. But yeah, I mean, like I said, that was it was nice to kind of go back into it again. Like I said, I pre-ordered the expansion pack because it comes out on the 13th is when it's accessible. So you go to those new areas then. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope it's good. Like I said, I enjoyed the ones that they had for Sword and Shield. So even though I did them after the fact when they came out, I kind of did them that way. So I got that pre-ordered. I did. What else did I do? I bought another set of vouchers to pre-order some stuff as well. So I did Mario Wonder, which we'll talk about later, or we can talk about it now. I don't care. Or
I mean, that's more of a news segment, right?
Yeah, it's more news. It doesn't really matter when we do it. I suppose not like we have the strictest guidelines.
That's true.
And then I also pre-ordered Mario RPG because I was like, oh yeah. I need both of these. And then you use the vouchers, basically get them for $50 each. Pretty good deal. The Nintendo Direct, I didn't think about it last week when we were talking about it. Like, why they were doing it. I totally forgot about that Nintendo Live was this week.
Oh, when is that?
It was this weekend. It's already done. That was kind of like their showcase up in Seattle.
Oh,
where they
does anyone have footage of it? Did anything happen?
Nothing super exciting. It was basically they had a bunch of tournaments, and they had, a bunch of games set up for people to play, kind of like their own little mini E3 kind of thing. They did though, and I was gonna recommend this to you too because you were like, I don't know about Mario Wonder, but they actually did a Treehouse Live segment I think it was like 20 or 30 minutes where they played through Mario Wonder and kind of talked about the different things. Well, I mean, we can talk about the Direct right now, I suppose. I'm just so close to bouncing around it. You might as well. So, so they showed off, Super Mario Wonder. So it did like a 15-minute kind of trailer. Everyone was happy because it had both color Toads there. You can play as Blue Toad or Yellow Toad. Okay. And it's got 4 Yoshis that you can play through as just regular characters, like not just like unlockable, like items like usual. So the Yoshis and Nabbit's in there too. So the Yoshis and Nabbit both work like kind of like different skill level characters, I guess is maybe the better way to put it. Like they don't take damage like the other characters do, but they also don't get power-ups either.
Okay.
So you have that, Yoshi has his flutter jump. Playable characters can ride on Yoshi, so Yoshi can still do his thing like normal. The other characters, they did say like the characters don't have like different abilities in this one. They all kind of just play the same. So just kind of play whatever you want, and there's that. So it's not like Mario 3D World where Toad's short and shit. It sucks at jumping, but he's fast. They're all kind of the same baseline level, which is fine. You don't need to be wild every time. What they do, though, which I think is really cool, is they added a new system in here, and it's like a badge system, which kind of gives you like extra power-ups. So not power-ups like, hey, here's an extra mushroom. Like it's like one of the badges is like straight wall jump, and you can just like jump straight up a wall.
So it's like an easy mode, basically.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, not necessarily easy mode. It gives you different abilities. And they made certain like bonus stages that focus specifically on these abilities.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's neat. That's just a different way of playing then, I guess. I guess I perceived what you were saying incorrectly. My bad.
Yeah, no, because there's so many different abilities. I can't remember how many they showed off. But they give you different, kind of ways to play through the levels depending on what you use. Like I said, there's that kind of like that straight jump. I think one of them is kind of more of a like a kill protect kind of thing. So if you die, you don't really die. So you get kind of like those kind of things. But they showed off the screen, and it looked like there was like a pretty decent amount to like choose from. I think you could only apply like one at a time. So it's not like you can stack them into like God mode. Like you just kind of need to choose what's appropriate for the level that you're in. You got all that stuff. They showed off some new power-ups. Like they showed off Elephant Mario. They showed off like a Bubble Mario. Like Mario can shoot out like bubbles like a flare flower. And that can like trap enemies in it, or you could use it to like help with jumping. I would call this a returning power-up, but it's never been in a 2D Mario as far as I remember. Like the drill top kind of thing, kind of like you had Mario Galaxy, I think it was 2. Where you could do like the drill and kind of drill through the ground and kind of you could use that. So that's all new in there. They showed off the online stuff, which it doesn't sound like it's online cooperative play per se.
Oh,
like so you can play, and then other people you're playing with can play as like ghosts in the level with you, but you're not like working together.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah. So they can play. You can kind of help out each other vaguely, though. Like, you can give power-ups to other players you're playing with as ghosts. You can set up, they made these things called standees, which you can put up, which can provide, like, different benefits. Like, they can resurrect you if you die, like, things like that. Although you can just pop characters, like, when you're dying, you float around as a ghost for, like, 5 seconds, and if someone pops you, then you come back to life without losing a life. So... They added that in, so the ghosts can do that kind of stuff too. So it's not like if you're playing with friends, like they're useless. There's some benefit there. You're just not quite playing like all the same like thing. The other thing though that you can do with like online friends is you can actually like stage a race. You can like put down like a race sign. You can like race to the end for like the best time.
Okay.
So that's kind of neat, I thought. What else was in there? There's like 7 different worlds. There is some like open areas where you can kind of go through and just pick which level you want to go to on your own. They said, and I don't remember if this was in the Nintendo Direct or if this was in the Treehouse thing, and I also don't know if this was hyperbole or if it was like straight fact. But they were like, when you get those Wonder Seed effects, they're like, it's different every level. Every level has a different Wonder effect. Like, they made it sound like it doesn't repeat. It sounds like they're level specific, and it sounds like they're all unique. So
Interesting.
like the one that we saw in the original Nintendo Direct was that one, where the pipes start bouncing up and down, one kind of inches along like an inchworm, and you can like ride along on it. They showed off like that. There's another one where Mario turns into like a ball, like a spike ball, and he's like rolling over hazards and things. There's another one where they showed in the Nintendo Direct originally, where you're kind of like riding on all those like creatures and things. And then it kind of goes along that way. But they also point out too, like when you see those wonder seed like effects or wonder flowers, like you don't have to do them. You can walk underneath or walk away from it, and there might be some benefit to doing so. So I thought that was kind of neat. There's like those purple coins; those are a currency in the game. You can use those to like buy badges and standees, like that I was talking about a little bit earlier. So that looked pretty neat. Trying to think what else is in there that was kind of interesting. Those little flowers that they showed off with like the text, those actually talk like in the game. Yeah.
Okay.
So they'll like there's actually like voice acted lines for them.
That is fucking weird.
Yeah, it's weird. Good news though. I guess when they were playing it at Nintendo Live, because I think they had the demo set up for people to play it there, which is why I think they had the Nintendo Direct. They did say that it was something that could be turned off in the options menu.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
so
a good
you
option.
Don't have to listen to them talk to you. Sometimes they say like kind of funny things. Sometimes they say practical things. It kind of depends on what it is. But those are, I think, kind of the big highlights from that Direct.
Okay.
That I can recall. Yeah.
Okay.
So it looked pretty good. I would say though, kind of like the big takeaway is, at the end of the day, it's a 2D Mario. You know where your mileage is for that. Most people do. It's like, a game as old as time, basically. So, your mileage is for 2D Mario. If you get good mileage off of 2D Mario, it looks like it's very interesting and adds a lot to that formula to make it different from what's been out in the past. But that said, you can only do so much to change a 2D Mario. So if 2D Mario is not your thing, don't expect it to change
your thing, more or less.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, like I said, at least from what I saw, looks pretty solid. I'm pretty excited for it. Comes out a month from now, and that's that.
Okay.
All right. Well, tell us about Starfield.
Okay, let's talk about Starfield. What have you seen from the Peanut Gallery? Because I don't think you've played it yet, right?
I've not played it yet.
Are you going to play it?
Probably.
Okay. All right then. Let's discuss, shall we?
Okay. Yeah.
So a lot of places are giving it like 6 and 7 and shit like that. Some are very, 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 very obviously full of shit, like very much so with the review scores. And I do find it a little bit suspicious that one of the first major Xbox exclusives, there are literal review scores that say I didn't play the whole game or I only played like 4 hours. This is what I think, and they got accepted.
Yeah, it's always bullshit.
From major review outlets. That just rubbed me the wrong way. I have played about 20 hours, maybe a little over that, between 2 different saves. One with Katie and one by myself. I have thoughts about this game. First and foremost, it is not news or new information that I'm not a big Bethesda RPG guy. I think the best one they've put out is like Fallout 3, and that was a long fucking time ago. I didn't even really dive super far into Skyrim. Yeah, I like it. It's all right. Yeah. It's fine. But I don't think it's a masterpiece like everyone else thinks. I went to bat for some elements of 76, which I did enjoy as they improved that game. Still, lots of problems with it, obviously, and was not good at all in the long run. That being said, this is my favorite Bethesda game that I think they have ever put out.
Okay.
I've seen all of the criticism that people have put out for this game. You can't just automatically fly from one planet to the other, land on it, yada yada yada. There's too many loading screens, this, that, and the other. And you know what? It's all fair. It's all legitimately fair criticism. I do think some things are a little bit overstated. Like, I think it's crazy that one person spent 7 hours flying to Pluto and then was like, I can't believe the game didn't load things in its memory after I spent 7 hours flying in one specific direction. Yeah, that's how fucking hardware works, you idiot. Like, that's just so stupid. That was so stupid to me. The game's not designed to be played that way. The reason why it works with something like No Man's Sky is because it's, online. It's also a constantly changing and, procedurally generated thing. There's a lot of things here that aren't procedurally generated. Mm-hmm. And the things that aren't are awesome. And the things that are have to be specifically generated by things such as the loading screens that are there. And that's actually kind of a big issue and very much takes you out of some of the immersion. And I totally agree. Yeah. But here's the thing. I still have so much fun with this game, from building my ship and adding new holes to the ship where I can carry more gear and stuff that I pick up on planets, to exploring planets that I know actually have something on them. Because when you land on a planet, you know automatically if there is something on that planet. If there's nothing on that planet, there is no reason for you to be exploring it, because the game clearly tells you there is nothing here. So anyone that's exploring a barren planet and being like, look at this, the planet's barren, well, this is stupid, they're clearly fucking doing it for a reason. There is no reason for you to go to a place that doesn't have something on it, and before you land in that place, you could see if it has something on it. There's no excuse for someone going there if there is nothing there, and the game clearly tells you there is nothing here before you land. So if you are like, whoa, I landed on this planet, there's nothing here. No shit, Sherlock, you knew that before you landed. And that lies a lot of problem. I think a lot of people are being very disingenuous with this game. Is this game 10 out of 10? No, absolutely not. Is this game a 6 out of 10? No, absolutely not. This is somewhere in between like 7.5, 7.8, and 9.2. It depends on how far you go into the game, how much your score is going to be elevated, and how much you can deal with the creation engine problems. This is creation engine, the same engine from Oblivion. Mm-hmm. This is the same fucking engine from Oblivion. And it has done so much stuff in this game. There's so many interactable elements to this game that you could like drop a grenade inside of a room, watch the entire room fucking explode, and things just fly off the shelves and go everywhere. And it's kind of impressive that they did that with an engine from like the early 2000s. It's kind of impressive that they're able to do something like that. It's very interactable. I did not do this, but I have seen people do this. I saw someone fill up a ship like cargo bay with 20,000 potatoes. And when they opened up the cargo bay, you could actually like watch them like roll out over the top of each other, and like the actual animation quality and everything coming down and whatnot looked incredible. It looked amazing for an engine that is from the early 2000s to look fantastic when you do something like that in modern time is impressive. It is very impressive. Is it like, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it something that should be like, I don't know the word I'm looking for here, but like, it's not something that you should be like, oh, that makes this a 10 out of 10. No, that's fucking stupid to have that kind of thought. But to say that this game is old and outdated when something like that can work, and like that nothing in this game is like in any way modernized, I think you're a fucking liar. Like, just simple as that. I think you're a fucking liar. Are there outdated elements to this game? Absolutely. There's a reason why there's so many loading screens. I just told you. Things don't load into the memory and exit the memory correctly unless you go in between those loading screens. But also, before you go somewhere, those loading screens, before you access them, the game tells you if there's a reason for you to access them. So I do think it does everything in its power to try to minimize that element. And I do think, I'm playing on Series X and Series S, I do think that the loading is really fucking fast, to the point where, like, it doesn't really matter that there are loading screens. Yes, it breaks up the things, but, like, who gives a fuck? Like, who really gives a fuck? I knew this wasn't No Man's Sky going into it. I love No Man's Sky. You know I love No Man's Sky. This is totally different from No Man's Sky. This is more like a curated, smart, well-designed RPG.
Mm-hmm.
And the RPG elements of this are really fucking cool. Like, really cool. I'm like running like a stealth build with like snipers and this, that, and the other, and it's super fun. It's awesome. And the gunplay feels really, really good. Like, probably some of the best that Bethesda's put out yet. And obviously, I'm not counting things like Doom or whatever, but I mean, from a Bethesda RPG, specifically made by Bethesda and Todd Howard, this is the best gunplay that they've put out yet, easily. And that's good. That's really good. I, in my entire 20 hours of playing this game, have ran into one single bug.
No.
Yes.
That's impressive.
It was a major bug. I'm not going to count, and listen to me when I say this, right? I'm not going to count the bugs of like, oh, an NPC walked into a table and then like glitched out for half a second, or like, oh, the NPC was jumping up and down at one point in time when I talked to them from a weird angle. I'm not going to count those bugs because they feel disingenuous, because it feels like you're doing something to break the game when you do something like that. Yeah. Does that make sense when I say this? Like, does that make sense? If you were like to crouch down as low as you could go and then talk to an NPC and they look down at you and they're like, and like fucking breaking, why would you fucking do that unless you're trying to break it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so
a normal person's not going to do that.
So that's why I'm not counting things like that. But I have actually legitimately had a element early in the game, fairly early in the game, that was an issue. So, for my character, I decided I wanted to make the game harder. Alright? So I made the game harder. Through debt and through murder. So, the class I chose has the perk of Wanted, where I am always wanted. There is always bounty hunters looking for my head to fucking kill me at all points in time. And it makes the game way more exciting. I'll say that right now. It makes it way more exciting. Well, it's a lot more fun. Seeing like a ship like fly overhead and then seeing it land a few clicks like past you, and then seeing, like a horde of like 6-7 people come out of the ship and then fucking hunt you down. That shit's cool. I like that. That's really neat. What's not good is when the game doesn't take that into account for main story quest lines. So, I'm going to share the worst part of this game. And a lot of people are going to be upset that it's the worst part of the game. The space combat in this game is fucking atrocious. It is not good.
Like, when you say space combat, you mean like ship to ship?
Inside my ship. Anytime I'm inside my ship, I want to be outside of my ship. That is how I feel. I don't like the space combat, like firing at ships. There's some cool elements here, such as if you use a specific type of weapon, that being a ballistic, I believe is what it is, cannon, you can break the engines of other ships and then board them, steal all their shit, kill their crew, and fucking leave. That element is really cool. I like that. That is neat. But the actual ship-to-ship combat is not good, in my opinion. It's just not. And therein is where we had a little bit of an issue. Having the Wanted perk, following a main quest line. Main quest line, it has you sneaking up on a satellite relay to get the data that's on it so that you can find a missing person who has information about a special artifact. I'm going to be as vague as humanly possible and not tell you what the artifact is or any of the other stuff or who the person is. So you don't need to really skip for spoilers of those listening at home because I'm not going to spoil anything. All right. So there are 3 zealot ships. That's the reason why you need to cut your engines and you need to fly slow and low to get to that satellite without alerting them. Because those zealot ships are better than you and they have better guns than you and you're going to get fucked. And this is early game. Now here's a problem. Let's say I took the Wanted perk and there just so happens to also be a random space pirate that's hunting me down at that point in time. That is the thing that spawns there every single time because a checkpoint has already been activated. So even sleeping doesn't make them go away because even though it is random, it's really not. It's already picked ahead of time before you go to a certain part of the galaxy. I'm not sure where that checkpoint is that makes it so that enemy will always spawn there, but it needs to be moved. Or they need to not spawn during main story quest because It spawned while I was in an unskippable cutscene.
Oh, that's cool.
While I was having unskippable dialogue with my crew in my ship. And while I was going through those dialogue trees, I could clearly see in front of me, missiles locked on, enemy will be firing. That's not good.
No.
It was not good. This happened to me, and I actually have it recorded because my friend wanted to see it because he couldn't believe what I was explaining to him. I have a 30-minute video of me trying to find a way around this broken mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we did find a way around it. It took some doing, and it inevitably involved making the zealots infight with the space pirate that was trying to kill me, while boosting my ass the fuck away as far as I could towards the sun to get away from them. And it actually worked. But the problem was that took a lot of time, like 15 in real life minutes, to wait for the zealots to kill the space pirate that was there because it was a random enemy that spawned in because I took the wanted perk. And it really did fuck up the game quite a bit for me because I thought I was going to have to restart the entire game due to this issue. Because if you're in a conversation and you see enemy missiles are already locked on, once you get out of that conversation, you know what happens? You get hit by fucking missiles and you're already dead. And it happened repeatedly. Luckily, I don't know how. Oh yeah, I've actually got it on video. Luckily, I was able to find a way to like get through the conversation very quickly and then boost. So I only got hit by a few of the missiles instead of all of them and get the fuck away. But that took a while to figure out a way to do so. And that shouldn't have been a problem in the first place. And that is a very big game-breaking bug, in my opinion, that would probably make most people be like, I'm not playing this anymore. And it's very early game, so I think having that issue is not good. It's not acceptable. That is the only bug I have run into. And yes, that is a major bug, but I feel like that is more of an oversight that needs to be fixed and can be easily fixed with patching. But like, I think that was the game just not expecting me to be an absolute fucking Giga Chad and be like, come on, fucking fight me, everyone, which is exactly what my character is that I'm playing as. So there's that.
Yeah.
But even with that in mind, and sitting here and talking to you right now,
yeah,
I still want to play this game immediately after I get off this call with you. And that, I think, is the most important part that I have taken away from this game. I see its flaws. I see what people are saying. I see, and very many people have extremely valid points. But there are some people that are definitely like bad faith actors, like 100%. So there are some people out there like that, and some of those people are in the journalist industry, and that is just not okay. And it's very obvious. Like, one person reviewed the game and gave it like a 6.5, and then like waited until today when it's officially releasing and reviewed it again on PC with the same review and gave it another 6.5 to drag it down even further. That's really fucking shitty to do.
Wow.
Like, that is actually like garbage. You are like a terrible human being for doing something like that. And especially when you admitted in your podcast that you'd played nothing more than 5 hours, and then your other podcast person was like, well, I put like 20 hours into it and I don't feel like it's a 6.5, but you told him that you were going to usurp him and that your rating was going to be a 6.5. If you are that kind of person and you get on Metacritic, that is bullshit, because that is exactly what happened. And that's not fair. That's really not fair to the game. Like I said, this is not a masterpiece. This is like between a 7.5, 8.5. And if you really want to be like a hardcore RPG Bethesda fan, probably like a 9.2 or some shit like that. But like, it is not a 6.5, 100%. And it isn't, because I feel like the more I explore the game, the better it gets. And it's a world that I actually just kind of want to live in. I am well aware that there are planets that have nothing, and I am well aware that there are planets that have the same thing copied and pasted. And you know what? I get it. I do get it. That's called procedural fucking generation, you dipshit. That's how it works. That's how that works. But you know what I do want to do? I want to go to the planets that have like actual colonies, actual people there, and I want to explore them. I want to find out information on how things are working. I want to know why there are brownouts on this one planet. I want to know why there is this weird space suit in the basement of these people that I've joined and what the spacesuit is from. I want to know what happened to Earth. I want to know all of this stuff. And I actually think that it's super interesting as you learn this stuff. And I really like that about this, because it's like, this is pretty much what I wanted Starfield to be in every respect. And I didn't expect it to actually pull it off, but it did. And that's really cool. Like, I understood the limitations of the creation engine. This is like fantastic with what I was expecting it to be like. Now I've seen some people that have reported like there are issues on the PC version, and there are problems with the way it runs on PC and the way it's handled, and like the frames that you get and everything. And you know what? Those are totally 100% valid problems for people to have with the game. If your game is not running at a consistent frame rate, and it definitely should, and you've spent like $1,500 on your graphics card, and you're not running at like at least 60 and 1440p with this game, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's okay. And that isn't. It really isn't. When you have bugs on the PC version because of the fact that like it just is optimized poorly, that's not all right. And you know what? That's the reason why I didn't get the PC version. I'm going to play the PC version later on Game Pass when it releases, but I wasn't going to like. Well, I guess it's technically already released, but you know, I've already got one save on my console. I really haven't wanted to play it on PC right now, and that's fine. I know it's a more stable experience on console right now. Yes, it is 30. But it is a more stable 30 than you're going to get on your more expensive graphics cards, which really fucking sucks. Absolutely fucking sucks, because it's not fair. It's not fair. But it seems like PC gaming is going further and further and further downhill, and it seems like a lot of developers are just using the crutch of FSR and DLSS, and it's not cool. It's not okay. It's really, really not okay. And it feels like this is just another one of those developers that's using that crutch instead of actually optimizing their game. And you know what? If you're a PC player and you're having issues with Starfield and you want to give it an absolute shit review because of that, cool. You deserve that right in every respect. And I'm 100% behind you. But if you can play this game, and if you're playing on console, and you're complaining about things such as, one of the things I saw, people were complaining at the fact that you get to choose the pronouns that you're called by the NPCs, just so they have a frame of reference. I saw a huge stink about that by many people, such as Dr. Disrespect, for instance, and it's just, that is just stupid. Like, you know what I would say to that? Did you scream and throw your Game Boy when you started playing Pokemon? Professor Oak is like, come on, man. Come on, man. It's really not. It's not that deep. It's really not that deep. It is just a way for the characters to know what to call you, and for you to be more immersed in an RPG. This, I would say, out of anything I've played in quite a while, is far less preachy about actual like politics and stuff outside of the game's story and the politics that are built in the game, and they're not really something that you can equate to actual real world politics. And it's good to see that. It's a breath of fresh air, and the people that are shitting on it because of the 3-second intro where you get to choose what you're called are fucking idiots. That is something I would also say to that. You are a fucking troglodyte, like quite literally. I don't use that often, but it sounds really funny. It sounds like a really good insult to call someone, because that's what you fucking are. You are like underdeveloped caveman brain who can't fucking understand anything. It's so stupid. You know how I am. I am very much against stuff that people would call woke, or just being like preachy, or being something for the main reason being entirely tied to just to like push something. And if I'm telling you this isn't, and you're a fucking idiot, you should probably listen. Yeah. But like I said, I do enjoy this game a lot. There's a lot to it. You can get lost in shipbuilding. You can get lost in so many different storylines. It's actually, and this is a little hint to something people should do because it's actually really cool. It's super neat if you get yourself arrested. I'm not even joking. You get a quest line if you get yourself arrested, and it's a really fucking cool one. So go out there and try that. The sheer amount of weird things you can do in this game that just kind of happen naturally, where you're like, whoa, what? Huh? What? Oh, okay. Is really cool. And I really think the element of like walking around and hearing NPCs conversate about something and then having an activity log where you can choose to go and follow up on what you heard NPCs conversating about is super cool, super interesting. And it opens up some really cool quest lines. There are going to be some quest lines here that people are going to get absolutely lost in. I did, and that's why I didn't really approach the main story for about 11 hours. So there you go with that one. Bottom line, planets are kind of barren, but you're told ahead of time if it is. Exploring planets can be kind of cool. The random generation is an issue, but that's kind of just a side effect of procedural generation, just as a whole in any game. I mean, it even happened that way in No Man's Sky. Let's be fucking honest. Yeah. But it's improved over 4 years' time, and I would love to see what happens to this game in 4 years. To be completely honest, as well. Like if this game gets put into VR, it will be fucking incredible. So there's that.
Yeah, this would be a cool game for VR, I would think.
Absolutely. They just need to minimize those loading screens or do something interesting with them. I do think if they use the same elements that they did for like Fallout VR, that they could maybe do something with this, or if they built like a totally new thing in VR to house this game, I think that would be really cool as well. But that's neither here nor there. I guess my main point is several reviews are just absolute bullshit. Several people are just making very bad faith takes. Yeah. This game was a lot of fun and really, really interesting. I don't know if the story is good per se, but I'm enjoying the game. Like I'm having a lot of enjoyment, and this is the game that like every day I wake up and I'm like, I want to play that game right now. I'm gonna go play it, and that's saying something.
And that's ideally what you would want said game
an RPG. Yeah, exactly.
And I would say too, kind of to your bad faith argument, there is, I would say, especially with a game like this, I don't think it's unrealistic to write a review for it without finishing it, considering the size of the game.
Not 100%, but I do think if you've played 5 hours...
Oh, no, that's where I was going.
You don't get any say-so. You don't.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be completely honest and spoil a very tiny thing for you. Mm-hmm. It takes 12 hours to finish the tutorial.
Yeah. Okay.
That is an important takeaway. These guys went to the first planet and the first solar system when there are hundreds of them. Mm-hmm. That's fucking stupid.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. Yeah, and I agree. Like, like I said, there's a difference in, the amount of time put into a game, and, there's a reasonable amount of time to put in before you can kind of, make a kind of assumption about the overall gameplay. And for a game this scale, you have to put a little bit more than say you would with, 5 hours might be reasonable for something like Super Mario Wonder. 5 hours is not, realistic for an epic style space opera kind of game.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Yeah. 5 hours, however, is okay to give general impressions on something.
Yeah, like a preview.
If you want to give a preview, that's fine. But you shouldn't get a say-so on Metacritic. That's just simple as that. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't get a say-so on Metacritic with your 5 hours of gameplay. It's just not fair. It's really not. I'm not sitting here and telling you, oh, this is what the rating should be. I'm telling you what my current thoughts on this game are at this point in time. Yeah. And my current thoughts on the discourse surrounding this game are at this point in time as well. And my current thoughts are a lot of the discourse is bad faith and fucking garbage and just really stupid. And if you look into the people that are doing so, they are very obviously doing it for a very specific reason. And on top of all of that, if you look at other things, from you looking at the game, like actually sitting down and playing it, not watching someone else, there's a lot here, and there's a lot that you cannot figure out in 5 hours.
Yeah, totally reasonable. Yeah, I agree. I don't remember if I had something else I was just going to say on it too. But
it's
yeah,
on
no,
Game Pass. It releases on Game Pass today.
Oh,
right? So, like, you get to play it on Game Pass starting today. There's no excuse not to play this on Game Pass.
I didn't realize that today was the day. For some reason, I knew early release was last Friday. I didn't realize. Yeah. Well, it was my plan to play it on Game Pass at some point. So
I'd be interested to hear your thoughts when you do play it. I do think this is one that should probably be experienced if you want to have a discussion about not specifically what is game of the year, because I will tell you right now, I don't think this is a game of the year. But I also do think this is a game that we'll be talking about for many, many years to come. Much like we have with Skyrim, much like we have with Fallout 3 or New Vegas. I do think as things get improved upon, as we get a Game of the Year version of the game in the future where it's like, oh, we've added these expansion packs, we've changed around this stuff, we took some of the mods and blah, 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 added them to the game itself. I do think, and, made optimization improvements. I do think this will be a game in the future that's like, damn, that's awesome. That's incredible. That people will keep coming back to with the mods, with the this, with the that, the other. I don't think this is a game that's just going to go away over the next few years. I think this will be a game that continues to be released a lot like Skyrim. I think a lot of the issues that people have are legitimate concerns and problems and things that should be addressed in the future. But I also think that if you then look at Skyrim now and you're like, this game is a masterpiece and this one's not good at all, you're just a liar, because it's the same problems that Skyrim has, even to this fucking day. And that game still gets released and it still gets rated incredibly highly, even to this fucking day. So I don't know. I think there's some issues there. I think there's some major issues there when it comes to thoughts on this versus thoughts on Skyrim and comparing the two together, essentially. I don't know, but I do know this will be talked about for quite a while. And this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
So, and I do think there's some elements of this, like there's some moments that are probably going to be things that I will talk about in Game of the Year. Probably won't win, obviously. But I do think these will be brought up. There are going to be some elements that's like, oh, that was actually super cool, or oh, I actually really liked this music, or oh, the ambience of that was super neat, or ooh, this character's backstory is kind of cool. And I think some of those things will definitely pop up later in the year. And that's probably one of the reasons why it's worth checking it out.
Yeah.
Since it's on Game Pass and since you can do that.
Yeah.
So.
And it's my goal to try it out. So we'll see. We'll see how much time I put into it. That's another question. I guess it depends on how much it captivates me. Because as you know, RPGs can be kind of wildly captivating or not.
Yeah.
Depending on, what the hook is. But yeah. No, like I said, I definitely am interested in it. I know it's not Mass Effect, but just kind of the idea of like space exploration and things like that. So
I grew up with sci-fi stuff, and I was like really into sci-fi things in general. And I think sci-fi things lately have been fucking garbage.
Yeah.
As a whole, when it comes to the entertainment medium. And I think this is the first sci-fi thing, like sci-fi related thing, I've been like, whoa, this is cool. This is fun. I want to explore this. I want to play more of this. I'm enjoying my time with this. Again, not a masterpiece, but I'm enjoying my time with this a lot, where I want to keep going back and checking out more of it.
Yeah.
So, that's got to say something, right?
Yeah, I would say so. And I would kind of another side thought that it kind of we just what's the word I'm looking for? Hypothesized about with the Microsoft Bethesda merger was how would a game like this change under Microsoft's guidance, and I think you can kind of see that there was some payoff there. Obviously Bethesda took some more time to make sure the game ran better, Like I can't. I mean, this is not. There's not been a Bethesda release in my memory that sounds this bug free.
I'm honestly just as surprised as you.
Yeah.
Like I've seen like a lot of the bugs that people have posted, and they're just like nothing burger. Like the thing that I explained to you, the thing that I went super in depth to you with, that is the kind of thing that like would happen 20 times in the first 3 hours. You know, in like a normal Bethesda release. And I've had that happen once in my like 20 plus hours of gameplay.
Yeah. And not like the, hey, I did something innocuous and then my save file got scrubbed.
Exactly.
Kind of stuff. Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like they put a lot more care into it.
I think that extra year really, really paid off.
Yeah.
I will share one more glitch without spoiling what it was, but this glitch was actually something that will probably be patched out in the future. I alluded to that armor that was in the basement of that place that I'm not telling you what the place is or anything like that. That armor is crafted to look like an old spacesuit, like one of our actual modern day spacesuits, the white and all that stuff. And it's actually really, really good armor without putting like mods onto it and whatnot from the workbench. It's behind a master lock that you cannot unlock. But there's a glitch.
Okay.
You can look through the crack in the glass.
And
if you have your mouse or your controller on the exact right point, you can steal it from behind the glass. And I did.
That's excellent.
So yeah, when there's little things like that, it's like, okay, that's a little jank, but like it's gonna help me. So like it's a beneficial glitch. And there's some games that have had those in the past that people have been like, just leave that shit in, that's just so good. And I kind of feel that way about this one. So yeah, good game, really enjoyable. I hope more people play it and actually give it a chance, because like I said, it's really hard finding good sci-fi things now, and I also feel like the market is massively oversaturated when we have a new Star Wars thing falling out of someone's butthole every 3 days. And in a world with that shit, something like this feels like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would say just in the grand scheme of things this year, breath of fresh air.
I do agree. Aside from the PC gaming perspective, I do think PC gaming has been probably the worst it has been in a very long time this year.
Oh, I feel like that's every year.
Oh no. It is. It's. You remember this year was Last of Us. You remember how bad that game was. You remember that conversation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this has been one of the worst years for PC gaming.
All right. What else do we have to talk about?
I don't know. What do you have to talk about?
Just rumors, really.
All right, let's talk about them.
All right. What's on the rumor? Everyone's squawking Nintendo Direct's coming next week, like the real deal. Speculation as to what it is. Who knows? Because Nintendo, you never those rumors I don't ever trust. But
those wacky rumors.
Well, because everyone's like, yeah, I saw one the other day. Oh, it was so bad. Let me see if I can find it because it just sounds so fucking fake. And I was like, I hope nobody actually believes this. I think it was so fake it was deleted.
Oof.
But it was basically like, yeah, Nintendo's got a direct coming next week, and it's like, don't ask me for details, but I can't give it, and they're gonna announce the like Mario Starshine, the next 3D Mario for the Switch 2, and yeah, no. So that's just kind of bullshit, basically. And it doesn't take too much to find those kind of things. But I mean, it's also kind of one of those the direct rather. It's kind of one of those rumors that really is like kind of a no shit Sherlock kind of thing. Like Nintendo has had a September Direct every year for almost since they started them. So I think except for 1 year have they not had a Nintendo Direct in September. So If you're thinking there's going to be a Nintendo Direct in September, you're probably right. And like I said, a little bit earlier, the reason they probably had that, Mario Wonder Direct a little bit early was because they had it out at Nintendo Live, but they still have to talk about their other stuff. So, you got Mario RPG in 2 months. You got other things coming out this year. They got to set up what's coming out at the beginning of next year. And this is that Nintendo Direct when they always do that. So it's coming. It's going to be coming soon. So, we've had quite a few surprises over the years. In the September Direct, that's when they were like, "Hey, Mario All Stars 3D, Mario 3D All Stars is coming out like next week or whatever." So this is also the Direct where they generally announce kind of new big additions to NSO. So, like, hey, here's a new system or something. Are we going to get a new system this time? I don't think so because they barely have touched the last two they put out. But, those are the kind of things that we would expect. And like I said, obviously, whatever's coming next year. So Mario RPG, Luigi's Mansion 2, this Princess Peach game, expect to, kind of see more of those things. And depending on, which rumor monger you look at, Metroid Prime 2 and 3 easily could be, shadow drop this month, much like Metroid Prime was in March. Hell, they could even do, something for Zelda, like, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. Who knows? And we do know that they still need to announce those release dates for those amiibo, because we know there's 2 more Zelda amiibo coming out. They announced them at the last Direct. We just have not gotten a date beyond holidays. So there is that. So yeah, expect a Nintendo Direct coming soon. What is it? Not really. It's labeled as rumor because I don't know. They're all squawking that it's coming next week now. But like I said, I think it's more speculation and hedging your bets than they know anything. At this point, really, it's already the end of the first week of September. You got like a 33% chance of being right. So, and if you're wrong, you can be like, oh, they must have pushed it back a week. So, really, yeah, no, these people are just trying to, build their own, cred without really doing anything. If they actually wanted to say something substantial, then maybe I believe them. Anyways, next rumors. Something is coming to the Smash Brothers franchise soon.
Okay.
So this is a rumor that's been floating around for maybe a week or two. And I think it's also, much like the last one, not based on anything.
Okay.
Let me explain. So the reason that this rumor is kind of floating up again is twofold. One, Sora still doesn't have an amiibo yet. So theoretically, Sora should be getting amiibo. Every other character in that game now currently has a released amiibo. So there's that.
Okay.
B, if you look at the game data, Sora does not have a functional amiibo that's inside Smash Brothers data. So it doesn't exist, which means what does that mean? If that was to exist, an update would have to be released.
Okay.
So not unfeasible. I think they did it with the Wii U and 3DS Smash Brothers when those amiibo came out kind of later. So there's that. But also, apparently, there's a lot of amiibo being reprinted all of a sudden from the Smash Brothers line. So,
interesting.
Yes, just kind of like random. Nintendo does reprint certain amiibo from time to time, as we've seen, and usually it correlates, with some sort of game thing. And some of those will be the Smash Brothers ones too. Like, hey, there's a new. I think they did it with, like, for example, Breath of the Wild, or not Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Like, hey, let's reprint some of these Zelda amiibo because that's the form that they need for this game.
Yeah, obviously.
Because that was kind of the idea with the Smash Brothers line in the first place, was you have this baseline of all these Nintendo characters that can then be used in different games. So makes sense. These amiibo are kind of random from what it sounded like. It wasn't really tied to any specific game, so it doesn't really. The kind of correlating thing is Smash Brothers. So again, kind of points to maybe something's coming up in the pipeline. But the big question is, what is it? If I was going to guess, my money would be on they just released the Pyra and Mythra amiibo, which is the last one that they had announced. They're probably just going to announce the Sora amiibo and do like a mini update with just that and maybe some balances. That's what my takeaway would be. But some of these rumors that are coming around are much more substantial. They're like, oh, they're gonna do like as I one kind of speculate, they're gonna do like another round of DLC fighters.
Oh,
Or
that would be
something.
nuts. But
Yeah,
I don't think that's happening.
yeah, or like another round of Echo Fighters, or something similar to what they're doing with Mario Kart. So I don't know. I feel like that's too wild for that. I mean, my money is on honestly next gen. I think Nintendo is gonna pull the kind of Mario Kart playbook with Smash Brothers
Mhm.
for the next Switch, and just kind of put out like a Smash Bros. Ultimate, and then just kind of do like a couple rounds of fighter passes to kind of generate money for that game. But now with the end of the Switch being here, I don't really see them doing too much with it. So,
Not right now.
yeah, but it's kind of
Maybe in the future, like we were talking
yeah,
about.
yeah. And like I said, I could see them with it as complete as that game is, and with it, as many franchises as it already spans. It seems silly for them to kind of scrap it and start over for next gen, like just kind of build on what you have, kind of like they did with Mario Kart. But we'll see. We'll see. Nobody knows. Next rumor, Beyond Good and Evil. This is for me personally, but Beyond Good and Evil is getting a 20th anniversary edition.
Yeah, I heard about that actually.
Mm-hmm. Very excited. I love this game. It's one of my favorites. I own it on like 2 or 3 different systems, and I rebuy it like every time it comes out.
It is a very good game.
Oh yeah, I love it.
It used to be super underrated. It's much more of a cult following now, and it's actually got a lot of the recognition it deserves now, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's not quite overrated. You know what I mean?
Oh no, definitely not overrated. And I would still kind of even say like, well, it was kind of one of those games that it came out. It was like a critical flop, and then it sold horribly. But Ubisoft is, if anything, they're persistent.
Yeah.
And over the years, they just, every once in a while, they'll kind of update it a little bit, stick it out again, and then, they'll get a little bit more leverage with it. And that's kind of what they've been doing. They updated it for, last gen. Well, I guess 2 gens ago now, because I think it was a PS3, like 360 era.
Yeah.
HDified it, stuck it out again, got some more. And they announced Beyond Good and Evil 2, which I'm pretty sure is vaporware at this point. I read somewhere recently that it's been development, I think, as long as Duke Nukem Forever. Yeah, that's not gone anywhere. And from what I've read, it's not even gone past pre-production yet.
Oh my god.
They still keep putting it out there, and it's I don't care. I still love this game every time. It's one of my favorites. I love the universe. I love just kind of the it was a GameCube PS2 game. What you're getting out of that genre from that era, but it's excellent. And if anything, probably one of the best soundtracks I've ever played of any game I've ever played. So yeah, absolutely worth it if that ends up coming out, which I'm sure they will. Do yourself a favor. Buy it. And because it's Ubisoft and it's 20 years old, I bet it will only be $20. That's what I'm hedging my bets on that too. We'll see. Who knows? What else is there?
Maybe we should talk about Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, the PC thing?
Yeah. Actually, there's multiple things that were shown off. But first, I announced a update, which gives you 2 new skins. 3 new skins, I guess, if you count the dog, wolf, whatever, and the ability to change what your sword looks like without changing its attack power. So basically, like a cosmetic option to be like, oh, this is what I want my sword to look like. But I also want to keep the attack power of this brand of sword, which is basically a skin swap, and is actually a really good thing to have because some of those look way better than what the top tier sword looks like. So
yeah,
it's really neat to be able to do something like that, and I appreciate it. The other one was that they are working on DLC as well as Final Fantasy 16 on PC.
I did see that.
Yeah. So there will be a PC version of Final Fantasy 16 supposedly in the future. They're doing a crossover with Final Fantasy 14, and they're making more DLC. All right. So here is one thing that I would like to read to you from my chat that I have with friends. We have our own little chat and we have our own little conversations with things. And here is the one thing that I think has been agreed with by the most people in this chat. My 2 most disappointing games of the year, Diablo 4 and Final Fantasy 16.
Okay.
That was written by someone else and not me. But everyone else pretty much agrees, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
I do think Final Fantasy 16 as our most, looked forward to game of the year. You know that one? You remember how we said that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it lives up in any way, shape, or form. We'll get back to that a little bit later, probably towards the end of the year at Game of the Year. So I think it has some of the coolest set pieces and most awesome moments in the game. But the game as a whole, it ain't it. And we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Okay.
Like, later on down the line of the year. Not right now, not today.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad game, but I don't think it's what we waited for. So I'll give a few little things about that. I do want to go into it as the new stuff gets announced, because I do think Final Fantasy 15 got better as more DLC and more elements of the game were introduced later on down the line. And I'm hoping that that's the same with 16.
I'd hope.
I do think that I will spoil a little tiny thing. This isn't spoiling any gameplay or well, not gameplay, any story from Final Fantasy 16. So you don't have to tune out. But I will say this. This is my thoughts on Final Fantasy 16.
Excellent.
Final Fantasy 16 is a game that is designed to be played like Devil May Cry, with a difficulty that is like nothing, like nowhere near the same level of something like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, anything like that. Like it's like a difficulty that's worse than the easiest mode of either of those games. So because of that, there's a lot of juxtaposition where it's like you've got all these really cool combos and super awesome elements to the game that would be really neat and would go really far in depth and would have like a very interesting combo and attack system. But there's no reason to use it because the game is so incredibly easy to the point where there is no point to doing that. And it kind of makes the game feel a little bit like it's fighting itself. Like its gameplay is designed to be like a character action game, all of something like Metal Gear Solid Rising Revengeance or Devil May Cry 5 or Bayonetta. But its actual game design is designed to be super casual to the point where like it doesn't really take any thought to kill things in that game at all, including the bosses. And it's more like a spectacle, like you're walking through a bunch of showpieces and looking at them than actually playing a game a lot of the time. And that's a really big issue because when your gameplay and the way your game is built don't coincide with each other, it really takes a lot out of the game. And that is my thoughts on Final Fantasy 16.
Okay. Yeah. No, it's I think we talked about it too, like kind of the
I talked about it a little bit when I was starting to get that feeling, like 15 hours into the game or something like that. But like, it never went away and it only got worse.
Did you end up finishing it or no? I can't remember.
I'm like on the like very end of it right now. But like, it's a slog to go through. With so many other things releasing, it's like, why would I go back to this movie when I could sit down and, literally play anything else?
Which is understandable.
I'm going to put in the time to, like, 100% complete it. Not like, 100%, but like finish the main story and all that good jazz and whatnot. But I just don't want to. And that's the problem right now. But before the end of the year, it will be finished. So will Tears of the Kingdom, and so will Starfield, and I and probably Armored Core 6. I'm kind of giving you a little bit of information to go on what games will probably be talked about at the end of the year here. There's some I left out because I've already finished and I've already formed my opinions on them, but they are definitely going to be at brought up at the end of the year easily. So there's that. But those games, I do think will require much more of a deep dive when we like talk about categories and stuff at the end of the year. So yeah, there's all that. Dude, you gotta start playing some games and finishing them.
I know. Well, I mean, I played a bunch this year. I just not. This summer's kind of slow. I don't know. I'm just kind of. I mean, like honestly,
you gotta play RE4. easily. You gotta play RE4. Just saying.
Maybe.
You need to.
You didn't even finish it.
I did.
I thought you did finish it.
I did go back and finish it
When did you finish it?
a while ago. I just haven't wanted to talk about it right now. I've also finished other games that I've talked about in the past.
Oh, very fancy.
I've also finished other games that I've talked about recently. So,
well then, I guess I'll have to start finishing games that I haven't finished, like Fire Emblem Engage. Yes,
I would think you need to leave that one alone, unless you want to talk about biggest disappointment. But I told you we already have Final Fantasy 16 to talk about and Diablo 4.
I know. I feel like we might have a couple biggest disappointments this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, where's my? I don't even know.
When October rolls around, you need to, for your sake, right?
Mhm.
Since it'll be releasing on Switch officially, finally, after being shown off back in 2018 originally, you need to play World of Horror on Switch when it officially releases.
But I mean, if you want me to play Resident Evil 4 or whatever, that would be a nice little.
Well, I do, but World of Horror is something you can pick up and play in between things. Because World of Horror is more of a roguelike card game with RPG elements that's actually fucking incredible.
What was I gonna say? You just brought something to my thoughts. What was it? Oh, yeah, no, it was a rumor, another rumor. Anyways, yeah, no, I'll have to check it out. It could be pretty interesting. Let me see if I can remember what this rumor was. It was recent. Yeah, so no, there's a rumor that Switch 2, it just kind of new stuff. It was that I can't find it now, but supposedly Square Enix already has their hands on it. Final Fantasy 7R is running really well on it. They're saying like PS4 level graphics with like DLSS kind of thing. But yeah, that was kind of it. The rumor. It looked like it was pretty good.
Wait.
Yeah.
What? Can you say that again?
What the rumor was?
Yeah, my brain did not comprehend that.
So it was something like, if I recall, it's supposed to be like PS4 better than style graphics, kind of where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly Square Enix already has a dev kit, which wouldn't be surprising considering. And that they had Final Fantasy 7R running on it. The rumor supposedly said it ran very well. And I don't remember which criteria that they were using to discuss that. So
for what system? PS4? What?
Switch 2.
Yeah. Oh, no. That's not real.
So that's what the rumor was. I don't know. I can't find it again. So I can't even pull up what it was specifically. So I mean, who knows? Who knows what it'll be? My guess is if it is a real thing, it's probably dumbed down version with DLSS to prop it up. Would be my guess.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. Most consoles are using FSR because they're running on AMD products, so it'd probably be dumbed down version with FSR to prop it up.
Well, let's find out. And then I don't know. I just saw another rumor. Persona 6 is not coming out next year, but there's a new Persona game that's coming out.
Oh, is it Persona 3 remake? Because we already know that.
Let me see what the rumor says. I just saw the title. I actually read it. They said it's not announced yet, so presumably not.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you know what I did read though? Supposedly the rumor was it was supposed to be like a Persona like Mario Party game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't get too excited. I don't know if that's the one specifically I was talking about there, but I did read a rumor about that recently that they're making a Persona Mario Party style game.
Oh my.
So yeah, then that's all I got. Unless you got any thoughts on anything.
No, I don't believe I do.
Okay. All right. I don't think that I have anything else exciting to talk about either. I think that's it. That's all I got.
All right, that's me too. I'm done.
Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to us tonight. Don't forget to find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast. Want to reach out to us? Well, no, I forgot about it. You can also, our website, game-crunch.com. That's where you can go check all our little episodes. All the episodes are there. Every episode. All the episodes. That's there. If you want to reach out to us, we're on Facebook, or you can send us an email at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon?
Yep.
Final thoughts?
Give Starfield a try. And also, look at some of the upcoming indie titles. There's going to be some really good ones. And on top of all that, play Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Oh, yeah. That is a good... Have you put more time into it, then? I'm guessing.
I finished it.
Oh. But you're done with it.
No, I'm gonna go do some cleanup, getting some extra characters, 100% it. But main story and a lot of side stuff done.
Okay. Reasonable.
It is so fucking good. Anyway, like I said, go play that game.
Okay. Yeah, that's another one that's on my I would like to play list.
I promise you, I'll be talking about it later.
I'm sure you will. Yeah. So that's that. And then, I don't know. I guess my name is Mike Anastasia. Buy me online on Clash Penguin on Twitter or your favorite game console. And until next week, game on.
Game on. When people are really enjoying matches in wrestling, they say fight forever because they want to see the fight continue to go on because it's such a good match. When people are really enjoying something and they want to exclaim how incredible it is, they obviously say something like "Holy shit!" That sort of thing. That's a chant that people do.
Mm-hmm.
There's also another term in wrestling that for big guys fighting each other. It's big. Manly men slapping man meat together.
Okay, that sounds really gay.
I know it does. There's a guy that said that as a joke, and I think it actually was supposed to be taken the way you just said in a general.
How else would it be?
It has to be, right? And this crowd, if you watch the video, they decided, why don't we replace all the random chants with the word meat? So they replaced fight forever with meat forever. Every time someone hits a punch in this video, you just hear the whole crowd go meat, and it's fucking incredible. Please watch the video. It is so fucking funny. It is legitimately so funny. I watched this live. It was so fucking good. These two guys are actually really good. Yeah. And the fact that everyone in the audience is literally chanting meat.
Meat!
It's so fucking funny. And at one point after this match, the big Bulgarian guy that's fighting Hobbs, who's the black guy, his wife came out, who he's been forsaking because he's been on the road and he's been going to all these events and everything instead of being back home with his family. And the entire crowd started chanting, "Beat that meat." And it was so fucking funny.
That is funny. I don't know, the Bulgarian guy looks like one of the guys from Punch-Out. I can't even think of his name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it reminds me of that. But that is really funny. And also, too, the way the announcer was like, "Oh, yeah, Meatbone might be coming to AEW."
The game, sure. He had to find some way to bring it back because the match was it was being hijacked by the crowd, by everyone chanting meat at everything.
But I think it threw me off because he's like, "Oh, your favorite game console." And I'm like, that's what I just said.
Yeah. That actually, you're saying your favorite game consoles what reminded me of the video, which is why I sent it to you.
It's a circle. That's what it is.
That is.